Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking on a truly fascinating journey. The human body is an incredibly complex structure. It's a literal marvel of engineering, and honestly, trying to understand it all at once can feel completely overwhelming. But what if we had a map? Well, today, we're going to learn exactly how to map out this biological machinery. We'll be looking closely at systemic anatomy, set right within the larger context of gross anatomy. So get comfortable, and let's start untangling the magnificent architecture of the human form. Okay, let's dive into this. The very word we use to describe our body's structure actually has a highly physical, hands-on history. The term anatomy comes straight from ancient Greek roots, ana meaning up, and temnein meaning to cut. Historically, studying anatomy wasn't done through high-tech imaging or fancy virtual models. No, it was grounded in the actual cutting apart, or dissection, of the human form. Early physicians observed external wounds, and eventually that progressed to careful dissection to uncover the internal relationships of our body parts. It literally started with taking things apart just to see how they fit together.
Here is the skeleton of our explainer today. First, defining human anatomy. Second, gross anatomy explained. Third, regional versus systemic anatomy. Fourth, the 11 organ systems. And finally, form meets function. Let's get right into it.
Part 1. Defining human anatomy.
When anatomists look at the body, they face a major dichotomy that's based entirely on scale. On one side, we have microscopic anatomy. And just like the prefix micro implies, these are tiny structures that absolutely require a microscope to see. This includes cytology, which is the study of cells, and histology, the study of biological tissues. But today, our focus is completely on macroscopic anatomy. We're talking about the big picture here, the structures we can see, touch, and measure without needing any sort of magnification.
Moving right along to Part 2, gross anatomy explained.
Gross anatomy, which is also referred to as macroscopic anatomy because macro means large, is the study of the easily visible parts of the body. Think organs, bones, major blood vessels. Like we talked about a minute ago, this is the field historically mastered through dissection. Now, simply staring at a complex organism doesn't instantly grant you understanding, right? Anatomists actually take a few different approaches to study these visible structures, just to make sense of the chaos. Within gross anatomy, there are three main subdivisions. First, there's surface anatomy, which is all about external features. Clinicians use it to gauge the position of deeper organs just by looking at or feeling the outside of your body. But the real contrast in anatomical study, the two heavyweights of how we categorize internal structures, lies between the regional and systemic approaches. Which brings us to Section 3, regional versus systemic anatomy. So, regional anatomy is purely spatial. It studies all the structures located in one specific zip code of the body, like the head, the neck, or the abdomen. If you're looking at the abdomen regionally, you're studying the blood vessels, the muscles, the nerves, and the digestive organs all at once, simply because they share the same physical space. Medical schools actually use the regional approach a lot for clinical training, which makes total sense if you're a surgeon operating on one specific area. Systemic anatomy, on the other hand, is functional. It looks at one specific system, say the cardiovascular system, and traces it across the entire body, from the top of your head down to the tips of your toes. This systemic approach is absolutely crucial for understanding overarching bodily functions. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference. Imagine a city. Regional anatomy is like studying a single neighborhood. You learn about its specific buildings, its local water pipes, its power lines, but systemic anatomy, that's like tracking the entire highway network across the whole city, totally ignoring the local buildings just to understand how traffic flows as a whole. Thinking of it this way makes these abstract concepts highly visual and so much easier to grasp.
To cement this, let's lock in the exact definition. Systemic anatomy is the study of the structures that make up a discrete body system. And what exactly is a body system? It's a group of structures working together to perform a specific function for the organism. We're transitioning here from how we study the body to exactly what we're studying.
Let's get into what those systems actually are in Section 4, the 11 organ systems. So, the crucial point is, the magic number is 11. Systemic anatomy breaks the entire massively complex human body down into exactly 11 distinct organ systems. Every single structure visible to the naked eye belongs to at least one of these groups. Let's do a quick rapid-fire tour.
First up, we have the systems that provide our physical presence. The skeletal system includes all our bones, cartilage, and joints. It provides support, protects our internal organs, and stores minerals, like calcium. Working directly with it is the muscular system, encompassing skeletal, smooth, and cardiac muscles. These are the movers. They allow voluntary movement, maintain our posture, and even generate heat. Wrapping all of this up is the integumentary system, your skin, hair, and nails. Fun fact for you, the skin is actually your body's heaviest organ. It acts as our outer protective barrier against the external world, keeping threats out while helping regulate our body temperature.
Next are our body's communication networks, the control centers. The nervous system is this high-speed electrical network featuring the brain, the spinal cord, and the nerves. It coordinates functions, processes sensory perception, and controls cognition. Running parallel to it is the endocrine system. Now, instead of electricity, it uses chemical messengers. This system is made up of glands, like the pituitary, thyroid, and adrenal glands, that secrete hormones right into your blood to regulate things like metabolism, growth, and reproduction.
Then we have our distribution systems. The cardiovascular system is your body-wide transport highway. Powered by the heart pumping away, it pushes blood through vessels, delivering vital oxygen and nutrients to tissues while simultaneously picking up waste. Supporting this is the lymphatic system. Think of it as the drainage and security system combined. It returns filtered interstitial fluid back to the bloodstream, but it also houses lymph nodes, the spleen, and the thymus, which play a massive role in our immune defense against disease. For sheer survival and daily maintenance, we grip these three visceral systems together. The respiratory system, our lungs and air passages, facilitates the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. The digestive system takes in food through the mouth, breaks it down in the stomach, and absorbs the nutrients in the intestines to power our cells. Finally, the urinary system, featuring the kidneys and bladder, constantly filters our blood to remove waste products while also strictly regulating our fluid and electrolyte balance. Finally, wrapping up our tour of the 11 systems, we have the reproductive system. Obviously, this system differs significantly between males and females, but its overarching function is exactly the same: the production of gametes, sperm and eggs, which ensures the continuation of the human species. And there you have it, the whole shebang.
All right, final stretch, Section 5, Form meets Function.
I want you to consider this really compelling thought exercise. Imagine trying to appreciate the unique, complex arrangement of bones, ligaments, and tendons in your hand if you had absolutely no idea what a hand actually does. It would just look like a random jumble of shapes. But once you understand the hand's function, that it needs to pinch, to grasp tools, to type on a keyboard, the unique alignment of the opposable thumb suddenly makes perfect sense. This perfectly introduces the fundamental, unbreakable relationship between anatomy and physiology. Which brings us to physiology, the scientific study of how body structures work to support life. Now, what's really interesting here is that in biology, structure invariably dictates capability. The physical shape of a hinge joint in your elbow dictates exactly how it bends. The thin, simple layer of cells in your lungs dictates how fast oxygen can diffuse across it. You literally cannot truly master one without the other. In modern scientific discourse, anatomy is completely inseparable from physiology. Anatomy gives us the physical form, the what it is and where it is located. Physiology gives us the living function, the how it works and why it does what it does. Systemic anatomy is essentially studying the complex hardware that runs our body's physiological software. Without the structural map, the function has no home. I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. We've neatly organized the human body into 11 distinct, manageable organ systems to understand them better. But the body isn't just a collection of isolated parts, it's a completely unified organism striving for balance. So, if systemic anatomy breaks the body down into 11 distinct systems, how might a disease in just one system, say a failure in the cardiovascular network, rewrite the map and impact the function of the other 10? It really makes you ponder the incredible, delicate, interconnectedness of the 11 organ systems we've just mapped out today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep exploring.